We are what? We are who? We are what? Vibrant. We are who? 50 plus. Hi, welcome to Gray Lives on the Rise. I am your host, Professor Jamila Franklin, and we are coming to you from Oyende Enterprises, being sponsored by Jamila Sense, which is our product line of aromatherapy products that helps heal the mind, body, and soul. And we are bringing to you Alamaj's rebirthing program, as well as Jamila Sense and a host of wonderful programs that will help heal your body, heal your soul, and heal your mind. 50 plus people, we are here to stay. Gray Lives on the Rise. We are what? We are who? We are vibrant, and we are here to stay. Join us for our wonderful episodes. Thank you, and continue to look for our episodes weekly, being brought to you again from Oyende Enterprises and Jamila Sense. See you soon. Greetings, everyone. This is Professor Jamila Franklin. I am so happy to be with you again during these pre-wintry months. But it seems like it's winter in some places, but it's not winter until December 21st. But anyway, we have the lovely TheRessa James with us tonight. And before I bring TheRessa on, I'm going to give you some information. But this is Gray Lives on the Rise. Okay, this is the company that is amazing for the 50 plus generation. And I'm going to give you a little bit of background information about me as well as the company. Jamila Sense is one of my companies, and that's the one that's underwriting this wonderful podcast tonight. A little bit more about Jamila Sense in a second. I'm Professor Jamila Franklin, an award-winning published author, a certified aromatherapist, a certified Reiki master, a certified metaphysician, and I'm also a college professor of psychology, have my own clinical practice, and I've been in practice for over 30 years. And one of my modalities that the spirit gave me that was downloaded into my cranium is healing ancestral trauma, because we all have trauma, especially in today's times. So, having said that, I'm now going to talk about my company, Jamila Sense. It is the company responsible for Peace Be Still, and Peace Be Still is an amazing product. It is, I have the lotion that TheRessa has bought. I have the blend that I'm going to show you now, bath salts, and it's just amazing. And you see how transparent it is? So you just put 3 drops in, and I created this myself. All my products I create, and you just rub it in the palms of your hands. It's an all-natural aromatherapy blend. You do not take it by mouth. You do not use it if you're pregnant. But hey, if you're 50 plus, you should not be pregnant. So it shouldn't even be an issue. So you breathe in. Oh, ah. And then you rub the rest on your arms. It gets rid of stress, anxiety, depression, hyperactivity within children, sinus congestion, sinus headaches, migraine headaches. It gets rid of all the stresses. And it also gets rid of flies and mosquitoes in the summertime. They would not come near you. So you put it on your neck to deal with postmenopausal symptoms, you know, like those hot summers in your body. It calms those down. It's just amazing, amazing. So in order to find out more about Peace Be Still and my other companies, you can go to Oyende, Oyin like in Nancy, D like in dog, E Enterprises, ENTERPRISES.com. And on my website, you will see Jamila Sense, and you will see Gray Lives on the Rise, which is my latest baby that I'm going to talk about now. I was walking one day, and all of a sudden I got this download from Spirit. And what happened was that it said, well, you know, there's nothing out there that really deals with the issues that affect people in your demographic. And I'm walking, right? I'm getting all this information.
Hmm.
I thought about it, and I said, it's true, except AARP and Medicare. And I'm vegan, so my health is pretty good. It doesn't mean that all vegans have good health because some vegans eat Oreo cookies. And did you know Oreo cookies are vegan? I didn't know that until recently. So
Wow.
just
Okay.
because a vegan doesn't mean that they have a very healthy diet, but I do. So Medicare wasn't something that really piqued my interest. I think it's a wonderful program for people. However, I don't really use it because of my health is very good. And then AARP, which is a beautiful organization, gives you the energy of retired people
Hmm.
who are sedentary, rocking in the wheelchairs too, rocking in a rocking chair, and grandpa smoking a pipe looking at the baseball game on television.
Hmm.
None of that applied. So I said, okay, we need to redefine what 50 plus looks like. And so what I did is then I started thinking about something. So the downloads that what you need to do is have uh, a shop. You need to rename how people see themselves. They need to, use different kinds of adjectives. You need to have a podcast, and you need to just go for it. So I did that. I thought about it. Then I said, Great Lives Matter. I said, no, that's cliche-ish. Then Great Lives on the Rise came to me. Lives rhymes with rise, and we're on the upswing. We're not going down, we're on the upswing.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I said, oh, I like that. And then I said, okay, we have to relanguage how we see ourselves. We're not old, we're not elderly, we're not senile. We are mature, golden, and vibrant. So, okay, I
Yes.
like that. And then the other thing was, you need to have a store so that people can buy this wonderful, wonderful thing and wear it or sleep on it. We have pillows, we have t-shirts like mine, like I've shown you. We have, and TheRessa ordered a beautiful melon shirt that's on its way to her. We have Oyende. You will see all of our products and you can start supporting Great Lives on the Rise. So the last thing was the podcast. And so in dealing with the podcast, I started talking to people globally around the world,
Hmm.
and they were having the same issue. I had someone on from Australia, Canada, Serbia, which is in Eastern Europe, the Netherlands, New Zealand, Costa Rica, the Philippines, Haiti, all of them said the same thing. When you become 6-0 or 5-0 even, people tend to dismiss you and treat
Yes.
you as if you're brainless. You can be 49 today and you're hip, you're in vogue. Time you turn 5-0, you become a relic. So they joined in. So we now have a global movement and we're averaging over 10 to 12 to 15,000 views, which is amazing. We're now a
Yeah.
year.
Hmm.
Very, very, very pleased and happy to have you in the audience. You have made us and beautiful people like TheRessa have contributed to our success. So we are so thankful to you,
Yes.
appreciative of you. So this evening we're going to be in for a real treat with TheRessa, and I'm going to give you some information about this wonderful being and soul. Okay. So
Uh-huh.
TheRessa is a wellness and life transformation strategist, a strategic leader, purpose midwife. Don't you love that? Burnout breakthrough coach. With over 35 years of corporate leadership experience in engineering management, business system development, and organizational transformation, TheRessa James brings a powerful blend of technical expertise, emotional intelligence, and holistic healing to her work as a wellness and life transformation strategist. She is uniquely equipped with degrees in business administration, engineering management, and program and project management, giving her a rare ability to understand both the science of systems and the soul of people. Isn't that amazing?
Mm.
She is also a proud graduate of the Legacy Holistic Health Institute, where she deepened her mastery of holistic wellness, emotional restoration, and integration healing practices. TheRessa is the visionary force behind its The Whole You and Optima Performance Consulting, where she blends engineering style problem solving with whole person wellness, faith centered strategies, and identity alignment. Her work helps high achieving women over 40 break free from burnout. And that's so important. My goodness. Back in the
Mm.
70s, they had this commercial. You can go to corporate America. You can, for Africa, and because it was like a line, and you can do the work at job. You can come home and do the work at home and be the temptress for your man. I'm an Anjali woman. It was for Anjali preferring. That's a lie. You can't do all that. You would be dead. It's impossible.
Exactly.
Excuse me. And women in the 70s believed that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Her work helps high achieving women over 40 break free from burnout, rebuild their confidence, heal their bodies, and shift into a life of purpose, clarity, and power. Her signature frameworks, including the 30-day Jumpstart Burnout to Purpose and Identity Reborn, are engineered to help women reset their bodies, renew their minds, and realign with who they were created to be. Clients call her a purpose pusher, identity igniter, and the bridge between breakthrough and becoming. TheRessa is also the co-creator of the I Am Girl Talk, Let's Talk movement, a dynamic space for transparent faith conversations, emotional healing, and practical self-leadership for women navigating the transitions. As a multi-passionate entrepreneur, podcast host, published author, best-selling ghostwriter, transformational storyteller, and speaker, she delivers real, relatable, and revelatory conversations that leave audiences inspired and empowered. She is known for, for combining corporate wisdom, spiritual insight, and holistic wellness into one unforgettable, high impact force. Her mission is bold and unwavering to help women stop simply surviving and start living whole, healed, and aligned with their God given identity and purpose. And without further ado, drum roll, people, we bring on the fantabulous TheRessa James. How are you, beloved?
I am wonderful. I'm so excited about being here with you today in the audience. And when you was reading all of that, I was just like, wow,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. People always say,
he's
is that
talking
me?
about me.
Yeah, yeah, that's you. That's you. That's you. So
Uh-huh.
I am so so honored to have you tonight on my podcast, and we're going to sit down as if we're two girlfriends in the
Mm-hmm.
around a cozy fire because it's cold outside, and
Yeah.
sipping hot apple cider, um, t- what are called concoction that I've made, or tea. So
Okay.
out of my Gray Lives Sunrise mug, people get the mug, okay?
Get the mug.
It makes
I
the
was gonna get one, but I got so many mugs.
yeah. It makes everything taste better at the rest. And that's
Okay, okay, we gotta get a mug. All righty.
sweetness. It's sweetness. So
Yeah.
anyway, I am so honored to have you here tonight. You are just so multi-talented and multifaceted. It's just amazing. So have you always had all of these different ideas in your head as a child? Like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to, what they tell you when you're little, what do you want to be? And they expect you to come up with one thing. And usually you do, but then by the time you become an adult, you've done about 10 different things as well.
Hmm.
And most people like myself, they, they're not doing what they went to college for. They branched out and they start doing
Uh-huh.
something else. So, did you have all these ideas in your mind as a child, or?
I did. And so my mom was also an educator. And my dad was an engineer, so and a
Oh,
carpenter. And
okay.
they always said, well, you can do anything you want to do. And so I was like, oh, okay, well, I don't want to do one thing. I wanted to be actually I wanted to be an astronaut.
Oh,
But
along
I
with
was
Manny Jemison, whom I met in person. She's
yes,
a
but I was
female
too
astronaut.
short. So I didn't find out.
Oh,
Yeah, because you have to be a certain height. And
oh,
so that kind of crushed my dreams of going into space. And so I just started studying all kind of things. And then finally, my parents were like, okay, your mother and I are going to go to graduation, so you need to get this together. But they always encouraged me to do whatever. And my father's thing was always be the best at whatever you decide to do. And so I tried a lot of things. In school, I was in almost everything I could fit into my schedule. Um, and my parents encouraged it. So I say my parents created this because they encouraged it. They would drop me off, do the field trips, go on the chaperone the trips, whatever it is we were doing. If it was a linguistics competition or if it was a band trip, my parents would be there. And so I had a full life and it just continued. And so
oh,
that's how I think that I am so well-rounded now because I feel like that's something that my parents instilled in me.
yeah. But that's such a gift because sometimes parents, would tell children, "Oh, that's unrealistic. Just focus on one thing." And
Mhm.
so, because you can't do all these things, because my mom was like your parents in a way. I grew up with a single parent. And she said, look, have several talents so you would never be broke.
Mhm.
What does that mean?
Yes.
He was like, no, honey, if you have several talents in your pocket, you would never be broke.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
and then I listened to her. I said, okay, let me have this talent here, this talent here, this talent here. But that's amazing. So with your dad, that's how you became interested in the engineering piece.
Yes. So I actually followed in my father's footsteps. So I grew up with both my parents in my home.
Mm-hmm.
And they were married until the day my father died.
Oh,
And so my mom wanted me to go into education. And at the time, she was a regular classroom teacher, so she didn't make a lot of money. And I
mm-hmm.
was like, oh no, I'm not doing that. And now we're full circling life. And now I find myself doing more teaching than building and engineering and diagnosing things. So it's been a journey to see where I started to where I am at this point
Mm-hmm.
in life. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. So with your parents, both of them inspiring you to go further, were you an only child?
So I am yes, I had siblings that did not make it. They actually were deceased. My mom had a couple stillborn children. But
Oh,
yes, it's just
yeah.
me and my parents.
Oh, okay, okay.
Hmm.
So they could give you all the attention it dote on you, which was good.
Yes, yes. So they tag team the attention.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Wonderful. And growing up with all these talents, some of them were dormant. I know all of them probably didn't surface all at the same time. They probably came concurrently. Or did they surface all at the same time?
So I think that they really did surface at the same time. I think some of them my parents didn't know how to handle. So they kind of picked and choose which ones they were going to help promote. And then as I grew up, I've discovered a lot of other things that were there. But I think they kind of surfaced because I can remember things. I think I was like two, my oldest memory or my first memory I have. And so I would be in there, talking and teaching, cooking something, and having dialogue with, the seniors. Because, at that time, children were quiet. You weren't in here having conversations with the grown-ups. And I would be
Right.
in like, oh, and having a full-on dialogue. And they'd be like, how do you know this? Or I would remember things. And I remember I went to a funeral with my father once, and I never met the people. And we were in Arkansas. And then we fast forward like 20 years later, we were back in Arkansas. And I was like, I've been here. And they're like, no. I was like, no, we were here, and this person was there, and I have an audible memory. And
Mm,
I'm like, and this is what they said, and this is what you had on. And they were like, are you serious? And I'm like, yeah, I remember. And then and so my grandfather was still alive, and he was like, yeah, that's exactly how it happened. Um, and so that's why I think they were always there. But
mm-hmm,
they, was like, it's too much. Because I tell people I have a huge personality.
mm,
And I think it was just too much for them to handle. So they picked about five things and that was it.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So, what were some of the things that you majored in? Because you have a, an engineering background, you have a business management background. So, when you were in college, what was your major?
So I
Or
actually had about seven majors. So like I told you, I
oh,
wanted to be an astronaut. And so I was actually studying physics and aeronautical engineering. And probably 2 semesters before graduation, I was told that I would never be able to go into space because at that time I was like 5'1.5".
mm,
And so I was a little distraught. And so my father was like, well, just study whatever. And so then I changed majors and I changed majors and I changed majors because I kind of got bored. I was like, and I had this ideal that I wanted to be able to make a certain kind of money. And then when, you talk to the counselors or whatever, and they said, well, out of college, you'll make this with that degree. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that. And so I was like, well, I'll change over here. So when I graduated with enough credits to actually have 5 degrees at one time.
oh my God, 5 degrees
Yes,
in four
because
years? Were you there in 4 years?
yes. So I graduated a
Wow.
little bit earlier. I was 17, and my first
You graduated
semester
from high school, I mean, from college?
I graduated from high school at 17. I
Oh,
could
high
have
school.
graduated at 15, but my parents didn't want me to I got double promoted twice. And then when it was time to do it again, they wanted me to have more of a childhood and not go into a straight adulthood. And so
Right,
I'm grateful that they did because I had a wonderful high school experience. Um, and if I would have graduated earlier, I would have missed out on all of that,
right.
time. So, yeah, so I graduated at 17. And then I went to school. And when I was in school in the 90s, early 90s, the computer systems didn't talk to each other like they do now. So when you
Mm-hmm.
transferred colleges, they knew, you had the credits, but it didn't like have this number where it was this flag that says, hey, she's got 250 credit hours. And I was on the Otis James Foundation scholarship fund. So they didn't care. He kept writing checks and they kept taking them. And it was like, okay, it's time for you to graduate. And then he paid attention to my transcript. And it was like, do you know how many credit hours you have? And I was like, no. And then when I looked at it and I went to talk to my guidance counselor, she was like, you should have already been gone.
Mm.
And I was like, well, I'm not, and my dad's no longer paying. So we got to figure something out. And
Mm-hmm.
so we finished. And then I started my career and quickly realized that I needed more of a business background.
Mm-hmm.
And so then my companies, sent me back to school. And then as I got promotions and started doing other things, they were like, you need to get more into program and project management. So then I went back to school for that. And so I capitalized on all of those skills,
Mm-hmm.
continued to climb the corporate ladder, and then
Mm-hmm.
I started experiencing some sicknesses and in several different surgeries. And I had got to a point where I was tired of traditional Western medicine
Mm-hmm.
and being on 26 or 27 pills a day.
Oh,
And
what
I
type pills? Oh my goodness.
So I was on everything. So they diagnosed me with about five different autoimmune diseases and disorders. And then I had a intestinal disorder that caused me to have like a hairline fracture in my intestines.
Oh.
And so I had fecal matter, seeping out, which then turned into a colitis ball. And then I had, by this time, had my daughter, and I've had a different disorder where the base of the incisions don't heal. And so the
Mm.
body's natural defense when it has poisons is to send it out.
Right,
Um,
right.
and it started surfacing toward the skin. And then I had a different situation that
Mm-hmm.
happened that I don't want to gross the audience out, but it had me bedridden for about 4.5 months.
Oh my.
And so I'm in a couple medical journals. People
Wow.
don't have this. And so I had to be in the hospital with getting my stomach packed so everything to grow back.
Wow.
Um,
And so
and
this was not hereditary.
it was not hereditary. And I was watching Facebook and I saw an advertisement for Legacy Holistic Health Institute. And it is a Black school that specializes in holistic wellness for
Mm.
people of pigmentation. And Dr.
Uh-huh.
Kulger is a medical doctor, and she's actually in the Atlanta area, and she started the school. And so I decided to go, went, spent about a year and a half studying, and we study everything about the body, the mind, all the modalities of holistic wellness.
Mm.
And then I started practicing a lot of the things that I've learned. And I'm down to two medications
Wow.
today.
Wow, that is so
But
phenomenal.
yes, so that's why I said it's been a whirlwind for me. Like when I started, I think about being in a third kindergarten to now and being on this side. I'm in the 50s now. I'm not at 50. I'm in there. And everything that has happened in my life and the preparation has brought us to today. So that's why I say I'm more of an educator today, but I can capitalize on all of the skills that I've learned to help people, unpack where they are.
Mm.
I've been through the burnout, been in corporate America where my blood pressure was 216 over
Wow.
145 when I got to the hospital, not and I drove an hour to get there.
Wow.
Um, and just stressed out. I've had nervous breakdowns,
Mm. Wow.
because, of work. And it's
Yeah.
like, it's got to be more to this. So you talk about spirit and the interaction, and I would, talk to women all the time, and they would be like, oh my God. And I'm like, I'm missing my purpose. I can build, manufacturing facilities, move them from country to country and do all this stuff. But at the end of the day, where do you go to identify? Because I'm used to being the only brown girl in the room. And so
Uh-huh.
that's another set
Okay.
of, traumas.
The stressors, yeah.
Where do
Mm-hmm.
you go? Who do you talk to?
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes I think I call it the life preparation illusion, where life teaches you structure. There's moments from childhood. They teach you how to walk and talk and read, and then you move into having a little bit more responsibility. And then it becomes, what are you going to do when you get 18? And you have all these structures and
Mm-hmm.
systems.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you get in your 40s and 50s, there is no more systems. It's like, so what do you do now?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you've listened, I often say I listened to my family and I went to college and I got the degrees and I got the great job and I had the corner office, but all that was killing me.
Mm-hmm. Because the work-life balance wasn't there. Yeah,
No,
yeah. And
no.
that's what this culture, the American culture specifically, promotes.
Mm-hmm.
And recently they have been pushing out this crazy ideology that if you desire to be successful, you have to work hard, get up at 4 a.m. or don't sleep at all, work around the clock. I said, this is crazy. And
Mm-hmm.
people some people are ascribing to that crazy philosophy. There's no work-life balance, and what happens is you become robotic because you don't
Mm-hmm.
have any human interaction because you're always at work, making other people billionaires. That's another
Yes.
story. That's another story. But yeah, yeah, the work-life balance. You recognize that you didn't have it, and that you needed it.
Not at all.
Yeah, yeah.
And then how much I've missed out with family in advance because I was hopping planes, hopping countries. I remember one time I came back from, I think I was in China, and I flew into Chicago O'Hara.
Mhm.
And I stood in the middle of the airport and I did not know where I was or
Wow.
where I was supposed to go, even though I had tickets. And I stood there for about 20 minutes and I'm like, where am I?
Yeah.
And then I got a call and I answered my cell phone and it's my boss. And he's like, oh, we got to go back to China. And I said, I just landed in O'Hara today. And that's a 22-hour flight. And he's like, yeah, well, there's a problem and blah, 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 blah. Go check out. We already sent you another ticket. And I was supposed to go to an event. And so I called my family. I said, hey, I've got to go back to China. And I, like a good worker, I checked out, came back through customs, checked right back in, checked my bag, got on the plane, and flew again
For 22 hours.
for 22 more hours for a 2-hour meeting that I could have did on Zoom. But they wanted everybody there. So I missed 2 weeks of what happened, and I had a relative to die, and I was very close with her, and I didn't get to go to that funeral.
Mm,
I didn't get to go see family members um, because it was always, I gotta work or I'm going here. So while corporate America or my friends, from school were envious that I'm flying all over the world, I'm getting on planes, I'm looking for the man with my name. Um, I'm in countries that may not be friendly to women. I'm in countries I don't speak the language. I don't know if I get in trouble, what's supposed to happen. And
mhm.
I'm doing all these great things, but yet I'm empty,
Yeah, you're
you know?
exhausted. It's
Hmm.
I get the analogy is kind of like when you go to a well and you're pumping at the well and there's no
Hmm.
water. It's dry.
It's
So
dry.
you can't give out because the cup is empty. What
Hmm.
we do as women, particularly Black women and women of color, we give from empty cups. And so we're just
Hmm.
completely exhausted because we're giving even though we don't have any reserves to give. We squeeze it out of the cells
Hmm.
to
We
give.
squeeze it from somewhere.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, so after, I got back and, I'm doing some other things. We fast forward and I'm at a company and I'm thinking I'm doing great. And my aunt dies,
Oh.
and she was one of my inspirations. So my mother's oldest sister.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was a child, I was like, I wanted to be like my Aunt Virginia, because, she was a single parent, even, and she, had gotten married, gotten divorced. She ended up being the director of nursing. She always had a nice, big, fancy car, was always put together. She traveled the world. I was like, I'm gonna be like my Aunt Virginia. And so she dies. And so there's a piece of me that now I'm starting to have this traumatic experience because my auntie's not there. So whenever I had problems, I would pick up the phone and call her. And
Mm-hmm.
so then she's no longer here. Now my father dies. This is my rock. I was a daddy's girl. And
Mm-hmm.
now I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to do? Then my grandfather dies. And it's like, okay. And then my grandmother dies.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, and I'm not really dealing with this trauma, which is why part of the subject was dealing with brokenness and being broken open. And so
Mm-hmm.
for the longest, I thought I was in the middle of being broken. And I started studying the difference. And I said, I've gone to school for all this stuff. Everybody keeps coming to me to talk about their issues. I've lost weight, gained weight, you know. Um, Taking myself off of medications through diet and exercise, eating properly, making sure I'm staying hydrated,
Mm-hmm.
um, but yet I'm empty.
Mm-hmm.
And then I begin to really embrace, and pray and talk to God about it. And he says, you're not broken. I'm breaking you open.
Wow.
And I'm like, what do you mean you breaking me open? What are you talking about? And so brokenness is what happens when pain closes you up.
Mm-hmm.
It's a condition that's not a transformation. So it feels like you're collapsing, you're shutting down, there's no hope, you can't move forward, you're feeling defeated and you're powerless.
You
And I
feel
said, well,
stuck. Mm-hmm.
you're stuck. But I'm like, I'm not here. I'm 50 plus. I'm not here. I got a whole life ahead of me. I
Yeah.
had 50 years of making mistakes and learning. Now I'm moving. And so one of my favorite animals is the butterfly.
Mm-hmm.
And we love the butterflies, and they're so pretty and gorgeous. But he started off as a caterpillar,
Mm-hmm.
and he has to go in this the cocoon, and he changes in the cocoon. And if he doesn't break out of the cocoon, he'll die.
Mm-hmm. Or if
So
you interfere with the transformation,
you'll
that he would die. It would
he'll
die.
die as well. And
Mm-hmm.
so all of that kind of started playing into this, and started, some other things, and we started the podcast with my friend, my sister friend, and just starting becoming who I'm supposed to be and helping people,
Mm-hmm.
and saying, in my profession, I could be dropped into a manufacturing facility that was red, and within 18 months is now in the black. Or if it's a brand new process, I then studied it, learned it, taught it to everybody, diagnosed it, came up with 10 solutions. And
Mm-hmm.
then people will call me and say, well, I got this going on. And I'm like, okay, well, go to the doctor, get all your, expanded panels, and let's understand where you are. So they want to put you on 15 medications. You don't need to be on all that medication. You just need different supplements to balance it, because the body will heal itself. God
Mm-hmm.
made it so that it will repair itself. Your liver will regrow back in 27 days if you flush it out of its toxins, and it'll send all the right signals to you. So I wrote a book. I'm in the middle of writing a book called The Body is Telling You Something. Read the numbers. You know,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
numbers tell you what's going on. You just gotta get the numbers.
That is so true.
Hmm.
That is so
And
true. And I think that that's amazing. And usually what happens is we don't change until there's a crisis
Mm-hmm.
because we're in our comfort zone. As much as we would like to change, fear overrides us. And we're like, well, if I leave this job, then what happens? Because what we've done is we've outsourced our power to those things that are external. And those external things, like the job or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
our spouse or whatever, ends up controlling us because we are dependent on that versus being dependent upon our inner guidance, which would never
Mm-hmm.
lead you wrong. It'll lead you to some scary places, but you're always going to land on your feet. Well,
Mm-hmm.
and usually, like I said, we change based on transformation, a crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Very few people change on their own. Very few.
Yes. And so it's funny that you brought that in. So how I really, really embraced all of this was I got a call and it was on Friday. And they said, we want you to meet us at corporate office. And it wasn't unusual, but that Thursday night, I said, they're going to get rid of me tomorrow. And so I go tomorrow and I get told, your services are no longer needed.
So you had a
So
premonition? Oh,
I
wow.
did. And it was like, and it was like, no, they just want to talk to you about some other thing. No, no, my services were no longer. So here it is. I've given these people blood, sweat, and tears, gone in sick, gone in not feeling good, worked on vacations. Like you said, because I got dependent. It was and the check was great. The bonuses was even better, you know. But now what am I gonna do? Because the pay to the order is not coming every other Friday. It's not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So now what are you gonna do? So now we're in this transition, we're in this trauma,
Mm-hmm.
and you can either stay in the trauma or you can move forward.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm here having this wonderful dialogue with you. I've got to meet other people that I never would have met had I decided to stay locked up in the brokenness as opposed to being broken open.
Mm-hmm.
And
I love that. Mm-hmm.
mhm. And so when I think about being broken open, it only happens when the growth pushes you forward.
Yes.
You know, you're not going to collapse. It's an expansion. It's an awakening. It's like this clarity rush or rising. They talk about the phoenix rising. When you get to that broken openness, you're like, okay, so what? I'm 50, I'm 55, I'm 58, I'm 60. My grandmother used to say, if you're not 90, you're not old. And
Now
I,
we're revisiting all of that because, you know, yesterday's 20s, today's 30s. So we look good.
we look
So
good.
we look good. And
Mm-hmm.
so we are not being uh, put in a cage, so to speak. So
Mm-mm.
that's really, yeah, that's true.
If you want to be open, you won't be in a cage. You'll
That's
be
very
like that
true.
lion that wakes up and realizes that that door has been open and I can actually step out. But for
Mm-hmm.
years he's hindered and he's afraid to come out. And once you come out, it's like, oh my God, this is great. I'm not putting up with this. I'm not tolerating that. I don't care what you think. I am being me, authentically me.
And you know something, Teresa, something that's very interesting. In growing up, I know when I was growing up, we called them Big Mama or Grandma or whatever, or
Mm-hmm.
Big Daddy or Papa, whatever. When they got to be a certain age, they didn't care. They She would go
Mm-hmm.
to the store with her wig twisted backwards. Maybe her dentures have, she forgot to put them in. And she spoke her mind. And people like,
Mm-hmm.
you better not cross her because she would tell you they didn't care. Once they got to a certain threshold and age, they're like, they earn the right and the privilege to speak their truth. They
Mm-hmm.
didn't care. But as my mom would say, when you get so cityfied, you forget about that innate innate empowerment. So now women are going back, the educated group of us going back to say, remember Nana, remember Big Mama, remember Grandma? She always did this. She spoke
Mm-hmm.
her mind, and people, and
Mm-hmm.
no one crossed her because of, oops. She would speak her mind and tell, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing this. I will do this, and you will take me here. She was so empowered because
Mm-hmm.
her years on this planet gave her the right to be in charge of her life and without
Mm-hmm.
asking your permission or asking you what you thought about whatever she did. So
Mm-mm.
now we're using that innate ancestral tug because it was always there. We just
Mm-hmm.
we just gave up our power, and now you're talking about the brokenness, being broken open. I love that. I love that analogy. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that um this society strips you from part of that identity of who you are, especially, and I know your audience is both men and women, but I specialize in working with women. And
Mm-hmm.
so, as women, we have the rich history of seeing the power of the matriarchs of our families, the things that they did
So
with
true.
little or anything.
Yes.
They would make a meal with five ingredients and everybody's full and it's wonderful,
Yes.
or they had this statue. When they stepped out the house, they knew who they were.
Oh
And
yeah.
and they didn't care, like you said, if you liked it or not. But somewhere along the line, we allowed this society to tell us that we're no longer queens.
Mm, yes.
And then we bought into it. And it's like, so for me, I can say, I bought into the corporate slave mentality. And so it was no different than what they did to our ancestors, bringing them over here to America. I
Mm,
became a slave to them for what? So yeah, I'm making, a lot of money, but I'm bringing home like 30% of it because you're taxing me. So
yeah.
now I've got to make more money to get to the basic where, some of our ancestors didn't make what we made, but had this wonderful quality of life.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, we're going to bed. I got time to go do this, or, the little things, the support. I can remember my grandmother being at everything and my grandfather, every event that mattered up until 18, because my grandfather died when I was 18, my mother's father.
Mm,
He was at everything. If my parents couldn't make it from work, I knew my grandfather was there cheering me on, excited that I've won this award or, did whatever I was doing. And they were there. But these strong women gave us principles that, you know what, you are a queen and you were
exactly.
sent here for a purpose on this earth. And one of
Yes.
my father's father used to say, if there's soil on the ground, it's intended for you to walk on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a discovery message to us.
Mm-hmm.
Discover the world, discover who you are, but don't lose your identity. He's always say, we're James.
Mm-hmm.
And my other grandfather used to say, you represent me when you walk out that door. And
Mm-hmm.
so the question that I have to people, who are you representing on this side of 50
Oh, I
every
love
day?
that. I love that. Before we go further, because I don't want us to run out of time, I would like for people to get your contact information so that
Yes.
they can
So,
contact you for your
yeah.
powerful workshops and all the other things, your podcasts and all those other wonderful things.
So the current podcast, it's under the handle I am GTLT. But my new website is being open. It's the whole you. Where you'll find information about contacting me, scheduling free sessions. I have a few different ebooks and guidance there. Social media handle, it's the whole you, no apostrophe. So ITSTHEWHOLEYOU.com.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. So people can contact you to have a discovery call for any of the wonderful services that you provide.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
And so we offer an initial 45-minute call to get you there. It's a strategy session. And then from there, we have different options, whether it's a 30-day reset. We have programs all the way up to a whole year blueprint, couple different books that we have written. I'm also in a book collaboration of powerful women. It's 37 of us who talk about our stories. That's also available. And then we can customize programs. I also deal with nutrition. So I help people eat better. So if you love whatever recipe it is, I can help you convert it into a healthy recipe and from being unhealthy.
That's wonderful.
hmm
So are you working primarily for you now, or you're no longer in corporate America?
So I'm 50-50. I do have a current assignment that I am on. And then the goal would be by this time next year to be 100% solely with It's the Whole You and Optimum Performance Consulting. So Optimum Performance Consulting is the consulting piece for corporate America within quality systems and development. So I'm currently working with that currently today with a company. They're structuring for growth, and so I'll be there for at least a year, year and a half for
Mhm.
this particular project, and then we'll see what the Lord has for us at that point.
Wonderful. That's
hmm
wonderful. So what would you say should be the focus for for the women who are listening? What powerful message would you like to impart with your wonderful diverse journey? There's so many wonderful things. So, for I know one thing you would tell them, just go for it. Don't be pigeonholed into one particular thing. Live your
hmm
life to the fullest because the rest has done it.
we have. I would say don't let your insecurities cloud your clarity for your next move.
Mm,
There's a program we have called the Identity Rebuild.
mhm,
And so it's time to rebuild. So I would say take these next couple weeks to really figure out who you are, who's the nuclei of who you are, and
mm.
then align yourself with it. So if you're feeling tired or frustrated, this goes for the men as well, and you're burnt out or you have this longing for something, that means that what you're doing is not it. And then embrace, these years. So if you have health conditions, let's get you healthy. Let's,
Mhm.
we sponsored with the aromatherapy. That in itself is wonderful.
It is.
Those few seconds of the scents. Um that you take on, and it's just a few minutes to reset yourself, and it's a
Mhm.
guidance and having that dialogue, so people believe, and they call it the spirit, they call him God, the higher power, whoever you refer to him or her as, tapping into that and saying, what's next? What's my because if I'm burnt out, get you. I remember one of my coaches said to me, we go to the doctor for everything except for our mental. And I think that's a stigma in our community. But then we don't get a coach for if you want to learn how to bake a cake, you go call
Yeah,
somebody.
yeah.
So let's get you involved with the right coach that's going to move you to where you need to be. Let's get you with the right people, such as your community, that's going to say, I'm on the rise. I'm not sitting down. I am on the rise.
Going
I'm
up.
going nothing but up.
Yeah. I think that's really important because sometimes people tend to isolate.
hmm
They tend to think that they are alone, and particularly if people have been as successful as you or I,
hmm
and then they find themselves on the opposite side of that because of the change in the market in terms of losing, being released, not even losing, being released from their jobs or whatever, they feel empty because their identity is so tied up into their career or their
Mm-hmm.
job. And so now you're here at 50 plus, and that's no longer your reality. And so what do you do? And TheRessa is giving excellent advice about what happened with her. She had this premonition that she was going to be released from her job the next day, and it happened. So,
Mm-hmm.
uh, so I think your plan, and you can share it with people, what you did after they told you.
So actually, after they told me the first 6 weeks, I was in a massive depression because I had identity in being the director.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know what to do next. And I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and she said, the severance package that they gave you is more than some people make in several years.
Wow.
And I didn't think about it. And so I slept, I did nothing. And then one day, walking is something else. You got to get into walking. There
Mm-hmm.
is so much revelation that happens in walking, especially outside. And so I
Oh, yeah.
began to walk, and it was like you have all these skills in you. And I knew I had all these talents, but at this point, I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do with them? And so I
Mm-hmm.
had to reawakening who I was. And so I actually went to see a therapist.
Oh,
Um,
that's definitely
you
a
know,
must. A
it's a
must.
must.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got a coach, and I said, okay, well, what do I want to do? And on Facebook, and I saw this advertisement for fractional executives. And I was like, well, what is that? And it's a wonderful invention. And so as an executive, you repackage yourself because the company may not want to hire you, and that's okay. But they'll pay you more as a consultant to come in to teach these younger people how to do the things that you already know how to do at a higher cost than when you were on their payroll.
Mm-hmm.
And and so the other thing that I would encourage people to do is research some history about our people, not just Black Wall Street, but even Tulsa and where they were. So between the 30s and the 60s, our people had thriving communities, that
Mm-hmm.
they were business owners. And then that's when they came up with this, okay, go to work and all this other stuff because we were being too successful. We're inventors, we're kings and we're queens. So the steps you take is one, identify who you are. Two, get some professional help. Therapy is a must.
Yes.
Therapy is like taking a shower
Call
every
me.
day,
Call me. It's true.
you
That's
know.
true.
Because you get so much out of it. And
Yeah.
then, start walking and then putting
Yes.
those plans
Yes.
together and then get you a coach that says, okay, hey, let's identify what are the skills you have. Let's repackage this. And so, I have a pending contract coming that's equivalent. It's a 4-month contract, equivalent to what I made in a year for a
Wow.
company. And so, they were trying to nickel and dime me. So I said, okay, well, when you guys are ready and serious, this is the cost. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the education, I bring you 5 degrees, 35 years experience in doing this here and internationally. This is the cost. And when you're ready, call me. And
Wonderful.
walking away, you're like, ooh, and I was nervous about it. I was like, oh my God, but I understand who I am. And so I
Yes.
walked away. And so now they're calling back, like, okay, well, what about this? If you need to go on a payment plan arrangement, we can work out some stuff. But by the time I end the assignment, 30 days later, you're going to pay the balance. And so you got to know who you are. And if
Yeah,
you don't know who you are, then you need to get on a superstar team that helps you get to know who you are.
exactly.
Hmm.
Well, I know who you are, and this has been an amazing experience with you as a dynamic innovator, motivator, and inspirational leader. I'm just so pleased that you took the time to spend with us to motivate men and women 50 plus, and if some young one ones are on this call, on this
Mm-hmm.
podcast, we welcome you as well because you can learn from those who have gone before you.
Mm-hmm.
Have to butt your head against the wall to recreate the wheel. The wheel
You
is
don't.
there. All you have to do is tap into the spokes that are already existing. So TheRessa, it has been indeed a pleasure. We're so honored and pleased to have had you share your pearls of wisdom and the steps as to how to get there
Mm-hmm.
in terms of taking control over your life and the difference between being broken open and brokenness. I
Yes.
love that. So to find out more about TheRessa James, you can contact her with her information that she gave you. You can give it again, please.
Yeah, it's thewholeyou.com. So www.ITSTHEWHOLEYOU.com. It's the whole you.
So make sure you contact TheRessa and have her come to speak to groups, you know,
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
to all types of groups because she is available. And with the invention of Zoom and Teams and
Mm-hmm.
others, you can do things virtually now. So stay in
Yes.
contact with Great Lives on the Rise because we have amazing people like TheRessa. So thank you everyone for joining us. And
Thank
remember,
you.
Great Lives on the Rise. We
On the
are on the
rise.
upswing. We're going up, we're not going down. And we thank you for
Only
listening.
up.
Bring all of your family, friends, co-workers, and everyone else you know who need to hear an inspirational and empowering message every Sunday from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can watch us at any time in terms of the replay. So thank you. And
Thank
Day
you.
Enterprises is the website to go to.
Mm.
And we will see you next time. Take care.
Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Gray Lives on the Rise, being brought to you by Jamila Sense, which is the product line of Oyende Enterprises. Jamila Sense is a 100% natural aromatherapy line that heals the mind, body, and soul. This episode of Gray Lives on the Rise was intended to uplift you, to inspire you, and to motivate you. Please tell all of your friends, family members, and anyone you know who's 50 plus, who's living a vibrant life and interested in doing more and enjoying life even to its fullest. So thank you, and please subscribe, like, and comment on this video and all our videos. Thank you, and until next time, until our next podcast, namaste and be well.